When I discovered this place in the Indonesian part of the Coral Triangle, it looked like a mermaid garden. I couldn't believe my eyes. The ocean definitely makes us dream. It's inspired so many of our cultures, and it certainly inspires me. My mermaid garden was not very deep, but the currents were really strong. It was actually quite difficult to get this shot because I kept on flying over the insulation. I was like constantly pushed by the currents. But this was such a happy moment for me. I felt a very strong connection with this place. Researchers actually have a name for this. They call it the blue gym effect. Studies have actually proven that living or being close to the ocean has a very positive effect on our hearts, on our well-being, and on our health. There's a very strong interconnectivity between humans and the ocean. Of course, we depend on the ocean to feed us, and it provides countless jobs, but it's also where we find the solutions to protect our health. There is so much that still needs to be discovered in the deep sea floor. The extreme conditions down there permit organisms to develop very specific substances, which have already been found and used to develop medicine. To fight really serious illnesses like cancer or Alzheimer. Lately, scientists have discovered that a certain strain of bacteria found in the deepest of the ocean floor could help fight pandemics like COVID-19.